The Conjuring horror story. The wind howled across the empty plains of Char Hote Island, carrying whispers that didn't sound quite human. The Sparron family moved into their new farmhouse on the 1st of October, a weather-beaten, two-story structure standing in the middle of nowhere, its white paint flaking off like dead skin, its windows watching like eyes that hadn't blinked in decades. Roger Perron, a hard-working mechanic, stood on the porch with a proud grin. "This is it," he said to his wife, Caroline, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. "Our fresh start." Caroline smiled, though unease already crept beneath her ribs. The house was large and cheap, too cheap for its size. But Roger insisted it was a lucky find. Their 5 daughters, Andrea, Nancy, Anna, Christine, Cindy, and the April Partsunder ran through the overgrown grass, their laughter echoing through the air like a melody that didn't belong here. But even laughter couldn't drown the sound of the wind whispering through the broken shutters. That first night, as the family unpacked, April, and the youngest, found a strange wooden box under the stairs. She tugged it open to reveal old photographs, a broken pocket watch, and a handmade puppet doll with button eyes and a twisted smile stitched in black thread. "Mommy, look what I found." April giggled. Caroline's face paled. "Sweetheart, don't play with that. It's filthy," but April clutched it tightly. "She says her name is Rory." Caroline froze. "Who says?" April looked up with wide, innocent eyes. "The boy who lives in the dark part of the wall." Caroline laughed nervously. "Honey, there's no boy here. It's just your imagination." April nodded obediently. But as Caroline turned away, April whispered to the doll, "He says you'll believe soon." The farmhouse moaned with every gust of wind. At 3:07 a.m., the grandfather clock in the hallway stopped ticking. Caroline woke suddenly, her breath misting in the cold air. Roger snored beside her. Then, 3 sharp knocks echoed from somewhere deep below. She sat up, her heart pounding. The sound came again. Knock, 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 from under the floorboards. The air grew heavy. "Roger?" she whispered, but before she could wake him, something brushed her foot, like a cold, bony hand grazing her skin. She gasped, pulling the blanket close. The whisper came from beneath the bed, a soft, childlike voice. "Can I sleep with you, Mommy?" Caroline froze. All her daughters were asleep in their rooms. When she finally looked, no one was there. Just darkness. Morning light did not bring peace. Roger found Caroline in the kitchen, pale and trembling. She lifted her sleeve. 3 long bruises streaked across her arm like claw marks. "I must have hit something in the night," she muttered, but her voice shook. Later that day, Christine, their 3rd daughter, began screaming upstairs. "Something pulled my leg," she cried, tears streaming down her face. Roger checked. No one there. Just the bedsheet tangled around her ankle, but when he looked closely, faint fingerprints were visible, too small to belong to an adult, too wide to be a child's. That evening, Caroline unpacked an old vanity mirror, left by the previous owners. Its glass was cloudy, edges gilded with dust and age. As she wiped it clean, her reflection seemed to move slower than her hand, and for a split second, her reflection smiled, while she didn't. Caroline dropped the cloth. Her reflection's mouth continued to curl upward, revealing unblackened gums and cracked teeth before fading away. "Just my nerves," she whispered, though her knees trembled. That night, April placed her doll, Rory, on the shelf beside her bed. As the clock froze again at 3:07 a.m., whispers filled the hallway, children giggling, footsteps running across the floorboards. Andrea, the eldest, sat up in bed. "Nancy, stop messing around." Nancy stirred. "I thought that was you." The whispering stopped. Then the sound of breathing filled the room. Heavy, labored breathing, right between their beds. Andrea reached for the lamp. The bulb flickered once, twice, and burst. Darkness swallowed them whole. The next day, Roger tried to fix the furnace in the basement. The door creaked open to reveal steep stairs leading into damp, cold air. As his flashlight flickered, he saw something written on the far wall in chalk. "Leave or be part of the house." A sudden gust slammed the door shut behind him. "Caroline?" he shouted. No answer. He ran up the stairs, but the door wouldn't budge. Something moved in the dark behind him. Slow, scraping footsteps. When he turned, the flashlight caught a woman's shadow, hanging upside down on the ceiling, her hair dangling toward the floor. The light blinked out. That evening, Caroline found old records in a sealed attic trunk. Deeds, news clippings, and yellowed letters from the 1800s. The last entry read, "Bathsheba Sherman, found guilty of witchcraft. Cursed her land. Took her child's life as offering to the Dark One. Whoever dwells here shall belong to her." Caroline slammed the trunk shut, but when she turned around, April's doll was sitting on the attic floor. She hadn't brought it up there, and as she reached for it, the doll's head turned. Slowly, creaking in toward her hand, the house began to reek of rotting meat and sulfur. Doors slammed by themselves. Windows banged shut even on calm days. Roger grew frustrated, thinking Caroline was overreacting, until one night, while fixing the garage light, he saw a figure standing behind him in the reflection of his car window. A woman in a torn dress, her eyes hollow. When he turned, she was gone. But the car door handle was wet, with something thick, dark, and warm. At exactly 3:07 a.m. every night, Caroline awoke to whispers from the corner of her room. One night, she followed the sound to the hallway, where the ceiling creaked above her. She looked up. Woman hung from a rope, swaying slowly, her head tilted at a broken angle. The body twitched, then opened its eyes. "You're mine now," it rasped. Caroline screamed, but the body dropped straight down and vanished before it hit the ground. Desperate, Caroline called for help, but her phone only crackled with static. Then, through the static came a voice. "Stop trying to leave. You belong to Bathsheba." The line went dead, and in the reflection of the phone screen, Caroline saw a figure standing behind her. A pale hand rested on her shoulder, but when she turned, she was alone. After days of sleepless nights and Caroline's deteriorating health, Roger finally drove to the Warren, Connecticut, to meet Ed and Lorraine Warren, a married couple known for investigating paranormal disturbances. Ed was a calm, logical man with sharp blue eyes and a crucifix always hanging around his neck. Lorraine, a clairvoyant, carried an aura of quiet dread, as though she had seen too much. When Roger finished telling his story, Lorraine's expression didn't change, but her fingers trembled slightly. "We'll come," she said softly. "But if what you're describing is true, you should know that house doesn't just have ghosts. It has ownership." When the Warrens arrived at the farmhouse, Lorraine froze at the front gate. The air around the house was heavy, unnaturally cold. She whispered, "Something inside knows we're here." Inside, the walls seemed to absorb sound. The photographs on the walls tilted slightly as if acknowledging the newcomers. Lorraine placed her hand on the banister and gasped. Her pupils widened as visions flooded her mind. A woman screaming, a baby crying, the sound of a rope tightening. "She's still here," Lorraine said. "Bathsheba," Roger's voice trembled. "What does she want?" Lorraine turned toward the living room, where the air shimmered faintly, as if the house itself were breathing. "She wants Caroline." Ed set up electronic voice recorders, infrared cameras, and motion sensors throughout the house. At midnight, they played the first recording. At first, static. Then, a faint whisper, layered and guttural. "You can't leave." Then, louder, a woman's shriek followed by a thud that shook the table. April screamed from the hallway. Her doll was gone. Lorraine wandered to the upstairs bathroom, drawn to the old vanity mirror Caroline had found. When she wiped the dust from its surface, she saw her reflection. And behind her, Caroline standing, eyes empty, smile stiff. But when Lorraine turned, Caroline wasn't there. The reflection lingered, grinning wider, before blood began to trickle from its eyes. Lorraine stumbled back, crossing herself, whispering a prayer. The mirror cracked down the center, as if something inside wanted out. Downstairs, April and Christine played with a mom's spirit board one of the older girls had made from cardboard. "Don't play that," Nancy scolded, snatching it away. But the glass they used as a planchette moved on its own, spelling WATCH. The window beside them burst open. Cold wind swept through the room. On the fogged glass, something wrote from the outside. I see you. Over the next few days, Caroline grew weaker. Her eyes appeared sunken, her skin pale. She began whispering in her sleep, muttering strange Latin phrases. Lorraine watched her from the corner of the room one night. Caroline sat up suddenly, her eyes rolled back, whispering, "He made me promise." "The child must be his," Lorraine gasped. "Who?" But Caroline just stared, blankly, before lying back down as though nothing had happened. The next morning, the family found Caroline cooking in the kitchen, but the smell wasn't breakfast. It was a rotting flesh. On the stove, something boiled in a pot. When Roger lifted the lid, he gagged. It was a dead crow. Caroline turned slowly, her face calm. She was hungry, she said softly. "Who was?" Roger whispered. Caroline smiled. "Bathsheba." The Warrens decided to confront whatever was in the basement. They entered with flashlights and crosses. The air was suffocating, thick with mold and decay. Ed began reading from the Bible. Halfway through, the floorboards trembled. Something crawled beneath them. Then the door slammed shut. Lorraine shouted, "She's here!" A voice erupted from the darkness. "You can't take her!" Something lunged at them, a shadow in the shape of a woman, limbs twisted, mouth gaping wider than humanly possible. Lorraine raised her cross. "In the name of God," the shadow screamed. The lights burst, and everything went black. When they replayed the basement footage later, one frame froze the room. Behind Caroline, a woman's face appeared in the corner, hanging upside down from the ceiling. Lorraine zoomed in. Bathsheba's hollow eyes stared directly at the camera, and then the recording glitched. The face smiled. Lorraine shivered. "She's attached now." Roger frowned. "Attached to what?" Lorraine turned slowly. "To your wife." That night, Caroline sat in the rocking chair, humming a lullaby. Lorraine approached carefully. "Caroline?" Caroline looked up, her pupils black, lips trembling. "She says you can't save me." Suddenly, her chair jerked violently backward, slammed against the wall. Roger ran to her, but something invisible threw him across the room. The lights flickered red, the windows shattered, and the house roared like a living beast. Lorraine screamed, "She's inside her now!" Lorraine stumbled outside, following the feeling of energy to a dead oak tree behind the house. At its base lay bones wrapped in cloth. Visions flooded her again. Bathsheba's child, crying. Bathsheba hanging herself from that very branch, cursing anyone who dared remove her from the land. Lorraine whispered. She offered her child to the Dark One and bound her soul here forever. Lightning split the sky. The shadow of a woman swung from the tree, her body turning to face Lorraine, eyes glowing white. Back inside, Caroline's reflection in the cracked mirror whispered to her. "You can end it," it said. "Take them to me!" Caroline screamed, clutching her head. Her daughters rushed in, only to see her levitating inches above the ground, her mouth opening wider and wider until an inhuman scream burst forth. The walls bled. The cross on the wall flipped upside down. Lorraine grabbed the crucifix. "She's ready for the ritual." Caroline's eyes turned pitch black, her voice not her own. "You can't save what's already promised." The lights shattered, plunging the house into total darkness. Storm clouds gathered above the farmhouse, darkening the sky to an unnatural pitch. The Warrens prepared the house for the ritual. Holy water, blessed oil, rosaries, and relics lined the kitchen table. Ed spoke firmly. "Once it begins, no one leaves. She'll try to escape through anyone she can." The girls were moved to the barn. Only Roger, Ed, Lorraine, and Father Gordon remained. From upstairs came a faint laughter. Slow, dragging, and not human. Caroline's voice followed. "You can't stop me now." They found her in the cellar. She was kneeling in the dark, whispering to something unseen. When Ed shone his flashlight, her skin appeared gray, veins blackened beneath her flesh. She turned, her face half decayed, eyes completely black. "Caroline, you have to fight it," Lorraine cried. Caroline tilted her head. "She's stronger than your God." The walls began to crawl, hands pressed out from the plaster reaching toward them. Ed shouted, "Get the rope!" As Roger lunged forward, Caroline shrieked and crawled up the wall, clinging to the ceiling like an animal. Her head twisted fully backward. She screamed with a voice that wasn't hers. "Leave my house!" They tied her to a chair in the cellar, her limbs convulsed, the veins in her neck bulging. Father Gordon began the Latin prayers. "Exorcismus te, omnis immunda spiritus." The air grew icy. Every candle blew out simultaneously. Caroline laughed, a deep guttural sound. "You think words can drive me out? I was here long before your prayers." Ed pressed a crucifix against her forehead. Steam rose. Her skin sizzled. Caroline screamed so loud the wooden beams above cracked. Lorraine looked toward the cracked vanity mirror, the same one from before, and saw movement inside. Bathsheba's reflection stood there, holding a baby in her arms, humming softly. Lorraine gasped. "She's not inside the mirror. The mirror is inside her." Bathsheba's reflection smiled and began slicing her own wrist with a piece of glass. Blood spilled, not in the mirror, but down Caroline's arm. Lorraine screamed. "She's bleeding through the reflection." The mirror shattered completely, and a shadow burst out, filling the cellar like black smoke. From the smoke, Bathsheba emerged, her body contorted, her jaw unhinged, eyes burning white. She floated above Caroline, the ropes snapping like threads. Lorraine shouted, "In the name of Jesus Christ," Bathsheba hissed. "He's not welcome here." With a wave of her decayed hand, Lorraine was thrown across the room. Slamming into the wall, Roger grabbed the crucifix and held it high, trembling. "Leave her alone." Bathsheba turned her gaze on him. "Then take her place." The lights flickered. For a moment, the house itself seemed to breathe. Lorraine crawled toward the basement wall and noticed faint outlines. The door sealed with bricks, something compelled her to strike it with a hammer. Behind it was a small hidden chamber, the stench unbearable. Inside, she found a teeny bones wrapped in fabric and a wooden cradle covered in symbols. A rotting note lay on top. "For him, always for him," Lorraine whispered. She sacrificed her child to the demon and cursed any mother who lives here to do the same. Caroline's screams filled the cellar. Her body levitated, arms spread wide. Ed placed the crucifix to her chest. "You're not welcome here, spirit. I command you back to hell." Caroline's face changed, part human, part monstrous, teeth jagged, eyes glowing. She growled, "She will never leave me." Lorraine reached for her hand. "Caroline! Remember your children. They need you." For a moment, the blackness in Caroline's eyes flickered. She gasped, "Lorraine, help me." Then Bathsheba roared through her, "She's mine!" The room exploded with light. Lorraine suddenly screamed, "Say her name!" "Take back what's yours!" Caroline shouted, her voice trembling between human and demonic. "My name is Caroline Perron." The demon shrieked, Bathsheba's figure distorted, screaming as light burst from Caroline's body. The crucifix in Ed's hand glowed white-hot. Then, silence. Caroline collapsed, the shadow vanishing into smoke that spiraled toward the ceiling and then disappeared. The Warrens carried Caroline upstairs. The dawn broke, pale gray light. Through the shattered windows, the house was silent. Roger held his wife close. "Is it over?" Lorraine looked at the cross in her hand. "For now," but as they left, she glanced back. In the corner of the hallway mirror, a faint reflection smiled. Bathsheba's cracked face watching them leave. Back at the Warrens' home, Ed played the final recording from the farmhouse. At first, static. Then, a child's voice whispered, "She's still here." Then a long pause, and finally, a faint lullaby. Lorraine closed her eyes, whispering, "God help the next family." The camera panned to the wall behind her. Dozens of haunted artifacts sealed in glass cases. Among them, the cracked vanity mirror. Its surface rippled once, then went still. Rain poured outside the Warrens' Connecticut home. Lorraine sat at her desk, surrounded by case notes, newspaper clippings, and the cracked vanity mirror, now sealed behind thick glass. Ed placed a cup of tea beside her. "You haven't slept since we got back." She didn't answer. She was staring at her own reflection and the faint smudge in the corner of the mirror that looked almost like a handprint. When she blinked, it disappeared. Ed sighed. "We did our job. The family's safe. Lorraine whispered. Then why does it still feel like she's here? That night, Lorraine dreamed she was back in the farmhouse. The halls were empty. The wallpaper peeled like rotting skin. A baby cried somewhere distant, a soft, trembling sound. She followed it down the hallway until she saw a cradle swaying in the corner. Inside, instead of a baby, there was a bundle of hair and teeth. Suddenly, two hands gripped her shoulders. Bathsheba's voice hissed in her ear. "Did you think you could steal her from me?" Lorraine woke up screaming. The room was cold. Ed turned on the lamp and froze. Every cross on the wall was turned upside down. For the next few days, strange things began happening. Lights flickered even when the power was stable. Lorraine heard whispering when she was alone. The dog refused to enter the study, where the mirror was kept. Ed decided to lock the mirror in their basement, where all haunted relics were stored. As he shut the door, Lorraine whispered, "Don't turn your back on it." He smiled weakly. "You're letting it get to you." But as he turned off the light, a female silhouette appeared in the glass, watching. Lorraine tried to continue her routine, but each night, the same dream came back. The baby, the cradle, the hands. One evening, she saw her daughter Judy standing near the mirror, whispering softly. Lorraine shouted, "Judy, get away from that!" Judy turned around, but her eyes were completely black. The image flickered, and then Judy vanished. Lorraine realized she was alone in the hallway. Her reflection in the nearby window smiled, even though she hadn't. During breakfast the next morning, Lorraine's nose started to bleed. She wiped it with a napkin and froze when she saw the words written in blood. "She's still mine." Ed rushed over. What the hell? The kitchen lights exploded. The mirror in the hallway cracked on its own. Lorraine screamed, clutching her head as voices filled the air, chanting, whispering, pleading. The words were layered, thousands of voices crying from the mirror. Ed shouted, "Lorraine! Focus!" She gasped out, "She's found another door." That night, Lorraine sat in the basement with the mirror. She placed her crucifix in front of it, whispering prayers. But the mirror pulsed, like something breathing behind the glass. Her reflection tilted its head independently of her. "Lorraine," it whispered in Bathsheba's voice, "I have something that belongs to you." The reflection reached down and pulled up the prenon cradle. Inside it lay Judy, sleeping peacefully. Lorraine screamed and struck the mirror with the crucifix. It cracked, but didn't break. The reflection smiled. "You can't save her from what you brought home." Ed ran into the basement, finding Lorraine unconscious on the floor. The crucifix was bent. The mirror glowed faintly. When Lorraine woke up, she said one thing. She's inside the reflection now, waiting for the next family to find her. Ed looked horrified.
"You mean?"
"She's trapped." Lorraine nodded weakly. Trapped, not gone. Weeks later, the Warrens received a call. A family from Rhode Island had purchased antiques from a local auction, one of which was a mirror. Lorraine's heart stopped. She asked, "Did the mirror have a crack on the top right corner?" The woman replied, "Yes." "How did you know?" Static filled the line. Then a faint whisper, Bathsheba's voice. "Hello again. Lorraine." The call dropped. Lorraine dropped the phone and looked toward their own basement. The mirror was gone. A new family moved into a peaceful countryside home. Their little girl, Emily, found an old mirror in the attic. "Mommy, look. She says she wants to be my friend." Her mother smiled faintly. "That's nice, honey." Emily looked into the glass, and behind her reflection, a woman's decayed face smiled back as the camera panned away from the house. Bathsheba's whisper echoed. "There's always another door." Thunder cracked. The mirror shimmered faintly in the dark, the reflection still moving long after Emily walked away, and then, in the silence, a faint lullaby began to play, the same one Lorraine had heard in her dreams. The screen faded to black.